Hey everybody. Now, before we start this video proper, what I am about to say might shock you. It's something that I've been hiding from the world, been very closeted about for some time, but I think we're close enough that I can say it. I like comic books. I know, there was literally no way you could have known, nothing to prepare you for this, but here we are. It's my truth, and I have to struggle with it every day of my life. Since I was little, I was always fascinated by superheroes, specifically Spider Man. But as the years went by, I never actually read comic books, really. I got into manga, started with Tuxedo Gin and moved on to stuff like Fruits Basket, Tokyo Mew Mew, Sergeant Frog, Ranma One Half, Dragon Ball, and I liked superhero. And I liked superhero media for sure, but I never really ventured beyond cartoons and video games. Eventually, this bugged me enough that I turned my gaze towards DC's free offerings at the time, and found a couple of stories meant as a crash course for new readers to meet heroes and decide whom you might want to read about. My personal method, when I finally got around to reading comics proper, was to think of the first superhero to pop into my head, throw them aside, think of another superhero, and read their comic, which led me to read Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, whom are now two of my favorite superheroes. We're not talking about either of those two, well, not specifically, because why do that when I could talk about Craftsman Bolt-On System Saves the Justice League, a promotional comic published in 2012 meant to sell Craftsman brand power tools. Because I have a distinct lack of power tools in my house and I read Justice League are so interchangeable. Wait, Craftsman Bolt-On System Saves the Justice League story was written by one Joshua Williamson, and in my hunt to discover his other works, I instead found this entry on the DC database I find inexplicably brief to the point of being kind of hilarious. Joshua Williamson is a writer. Gonna need a little bit more than that. Joshua Williamson is good friends with Batman writer Tom King. Good for him. It's funny too, because it looks like Williamson has indeed worked on a number of different books, from The Flash to Batman, the ongoing Infinite Frontier event, and the current run on Robin. It makes me wonder how he went from writing about power tools to working on an event which stands to reintroduce the DC multiverse. You know, besides being a good friend of Tom King. This is the part where I'll state outright that I am still a baby in terms of reading comic books, at least as far as knowing the history both in universe and out. I love learning about that sort of thing, though, but understand that I may not know something as of this time. Note that this excuse will become flimsier and flimsier the more comics we look at. The cover is a very unexciting gathering of the Justice League, standing in a void behind the title character, whom I would honestly have expected to be named the Craftsman. No, instead he's known as the Technician, and he has a wonderfully bland costume in that he's basically just dressed like a normal-ass technician, with Craftsman logos slapped onto his suit and a number of bolt-on attachments in his belt. I enjoy powerless heroes, don't get me wrong, I've read far too much Batman to not, but holy superfluous character. I think it might have been better if this comic had been about the Leaguers needing to use Craftsman tools rather than introducing a whole new character. The story jumps us right in with some narration from the Technician as he goes about his day working at the Hall of Justice. I was thinking there might be a fuel leak, Technician. Ouch, dude, she didn't even logo you. You know, when a superhero is name dropped during an introduction, like, "This looks like a job for Superman." I swear this never happens. I was thinking there might be a fuel leak, Technician. I can see that. I sure can't. Did the artist forget to add any hints that the invisible jet was leaking fuel? A puddle under it or something? Is the fuel also invisible? That might be a joke, but then how would either of them know? If the Justice League needs something fixed right, they call me, the Technician. I really wish they would stop. My name is Leonard. It seems like everyone at the Hall of Justice has the Technician working on their equipment, which I'll point out sounds like a security oversight if it were to turn out the Technician was actually a villain. Great row! The Batmobile's lost a wheel. System 32 was deleted from Cyborg's operating system, and the invisible jet has been covered in Ahegao stickers. Why did we ever let that Technician into the hall? He said he had a power drill. Wait, was it a Craftsman drill? Yeah? Oh, okay. Understandable. Take care of the fire, Batman. I have some Tandy computers to peddle to children. Why are you like this? Thanks for giving my treadmill an overhaul, dude. You're a lifesaver. Oh yeah, no problem. I got a sweet deal on the parts from this weird guy in a DeLorean. Getting to work at an amazing place like the Hall of Justice is a real honor. But I earned it. I would genuinely love to see how he earned it. But why tell us the interesting tale of how the Technician joined the Justice League when they can just tell us that he earned it and leave it at that? Nothing excites a reader more like the promise of a more interesting comic that you never got to read. Don't get me wrong, I know they're out there saving the world, but it's my job to make sure that they have what they need and that it works. Batman may have stopped Joker from blowing up that orphanage, but I was the one who made sure the Batmobile had enough oil before he went out to fight him, so you're welcome? The internal security system's been a bit wonky lately. Can you repair it? Come on, you know I always have the right tools for the job. I have literally never encountered a problem I couldn't fix with my Craftsman bolt-on. Fixing cupboards, building a shelf for my other Craftsman tools, saving my struggling marriage, top surgery, brokering peace between Kurak and Bialia. And you know what? Honestly, I love my job, but the benefits really leave something to be desired. You'd think Batman could afford to offer a dental plan. I never expected a day like this. A run-in with the key. The next page makes my head do a little twist in terms of chronology, but I assume the narration from the previous page was simply reflecting on his day leading up to now, which is sometime later that day, after the Justice League went on an emergency mission. Also, did you really never expect a day like this? To never see a supervillain inside the Hall of Justice? I feel like this sort of thing would have been brought up right away at the interview. The Key is a recurring foe of the Justice League, a megalomaniac focused on unlocking the secrets of the human mind and the physical world. To this end, he's taken numerous chemical cocktails to augment his abilities to superhuman levels. Not the most powerful foe in their gallery, but he's certainly a threat to someone like the Technician. This is my first encounter with the Key, and seeing him be defeated by a man with a drill will have no impact on my ability to take him seriously in the future, I assure you. For now, he's got a couple of his robot goons standing watch while he fiddles with the JLA's main computer. I love that their guns are shaped like keys, possibly with intent to unlock people's deaths. Either that or Keyblade Masters are a sworn enemy of the Justice League. All alone. Just me and the Justice League computers. I am going to ruin their YouTube recommendations. Finally, I have access to the Hall of Justice records. Green Arrow's OnlyFans will evade me no longer. Can't let the Key steal from the Justice League. I'm going to have to build a better lock. I can't really wrap my head around what he means. Is he going to improve the computer's security with a drill? I guess destroying it would make it harder for the Key to access it. I may not like his methods, but you can't argue with the results. If I access the security system's emergency override, I can notify the Justice League. Thankfully, my bolt-on tool battery gets a quick boost of power in just minutes. Perfect timing. I have so many questions. Have you just been sitting there while your battery charged? The Technician. All of the weaknesses of classic Iron Man, with none of the powers. Meanwhile, going off the Key's facial shadow here, I'd wager that Christian Duce wishes he were drawing Darkseid right now. Nobody else in the comic is drawn with these extreme shadows on their face, and it's clear from later shots that these aren't markings. It's weird to me, but it does help to convey him as an imposing villain, even if he's basically a hacker who lifts. Not sure which drug gave him the solid red eyes, though. Technician's plan is to reach the breaker room so he can reboot the security system. There's something of an oddity here, however, since we go from him at the top of the page saying, I can notify the Justice League, to, where is the Justice League? I assumed from the time skip the Technician knew about the emergency mission. This makes it sound like they bounced during the span of time it took for him to walk from the war room to the server room. Is he gone? Yes, my senses tell me he's taken the elevator. Thank God. Want to get some wings? Bruce, old pal, I thought you'd never ask. Wings will have to wait, as the Justice League are actually fighting the Royal Flush Gang. I'm not really sure if they're worth the whole Justice League. I'm unfamiliar with the Royal Flush Gang, beyond the Bandits and Brave and the Bold, and that time that Antiope played cards with them in DC Superhero Girls. Batman asks King why the gang is wrecking the city, and he says he's just following orders. This is especially weird because he's talking to Jack, not King, since King is up here fighting Superman. The next page has Wonder Woman using her lasso of truth on Queen, but it seems that they don't know who hired them or why. It looks like the Key had arranged from the Royal Flush Gang to distract the Justice League while he raided their servers. But I'm not sure what they're getting out of it. I will assume money. By the way, what's going on with the advertisements here? We've got a giant Craftsman ad in the background, then several billboards for redheads? Are you a superhero longing for a perky red-headed love interest? Does your heart yearn for what I must assume is a somewhat awkward kiss with your mask crudely tugged up over your mouth? Sign up for a free trial at faceittiger.com with the promo code Mephisto, and who knows, you just might hit the jackpot. If I can sneak past the Key and his robots, I'll be able to get to the control room and fix the security system. It just occurred to me that if this were an older comic, he'd be saying all of this aloud, and I'd be wondering how the Key didn't hear him. It also occurred to me that Technician has been sitting around this corner for about 3 pages, talking about how he needs to reach the breaker room, but has not actually moved. My previous comment about Technician staying quiet sadly flies out the window as he switches to a saw attachment and begins cutting through some sort of pipe, maybe a tube. Being able to change out the attachments on the Craftsman bolt-on tool is really coming in handy today. I don't care how quickly the bolt-on can saw through that thing, there is no way the key didn't hear you doing that. Technician opens the tube, creating a smoke screen that allows him to run for the breaker room, finally alerting the key. Get him! I must unlock the secrets of his magically silent rotary saw! Well, that didn't go as planned. And I thought using power tools to sneak around a supervillain was a great idea. We jump intermittently to shots of the Justice League's battle in the city, with Cyborg here throwing Ace into this poor red truck. Somehow I imagined the crossover between the JLA and US 1 going differently. Cyborg is cluing in on all of this being a diversion. Meanwhile, the technician is... I'm not sure what he's doing, actually. I think he's drilling a door shut to keep the robots out. Awful polite of them to wait while he gets those screws and a piece of metal, changed attachments, and drilled the holes. If I didn't have the impact driver attachment, I'd be screwed. It gets this done faster with 2 times the torque of a regular drill. Shilling for Craftsman is how I cope with stress, okay? Now the door to the control breaker room is locked. But, oh yeah! The hammer drill attachment will help me disable this door and get into the control breaker room. Ooh yeah! Write that down, potential criminals. Even you can make use of our power tools. Back with the Justice League, Batman is still beating Jack half to death. Just look at this guy, I'm starting to feel sorry for him. Who are you working for, King? Tell me! Jiminy Cricket, Batman, the lasso of truth said they didn't know who hired them. This rate he'd tell you Kite Man put him up to it if it meant you'd stop beating him. Back at the Hall of Justice, Technician's daring adventure of running down a hallway and drilling a thing has brought him to his most challenging hurdle yet. Drilling another thing. I love how this tool allows me to work in these tight spaces. Phrasing? The security systems are activated, an alert is sent out to the Justice League, and some convenient energy bars are created to box in the key's minions. You ruined my plan! A man with a power drill? Maybe supervillainy isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sorry, Key, but I couldn't let you steal from the Justice League. Honestly, I've seen Green Arrow's pics. You're not missing anything special. It's no matter. You think this security system can stop me? There is no door that can stop the key. You can't keep me in here, Megatron! Then we get this 2-page spread of the Justice League confronting the key at a Dutch angle. It's not exactly the most exciting shot, since most of the Justice League are just standing around, and Cyborg and Wonder Woman have their legs oddly spread out. The angle makes it stand out more to me. At least Superman is in the spirit of things, even if his pose is effectively the flying equivalent of standing around. I'll note that the key's hand jewelry rematerializes here. It was seen in a previous panel, but then vanished in some poses from further away. The biggest offense goes to Cyborg, though. Certain parts of his cybernetics have been erroneously colored in with his skin tone, which gives us the cursed visual of Victor Stone with a human neck, from which cybernetic cables are tearing through.
That's gross.
The key surrenders without a fight, and Cyborg commends the technician for his bravery. It was the least I could do, but really, it was my Craftsman bolt-on tool system that saved the day. That's what I keep telling Alec and Shanna. It was the TRS-80 that kept Brainiac from stealing Paris, not them. We cap our adventure off on a panel I can only interpret as the Justice League all standing around Technician and laughing like this were an episode of Super Friends. Most likely at the Technician's expense, as he's just admitted that anyone could have done what he did if they only had a Craftsman bolt-on. As an aside, the way the Hall of Justice's name is written across the front of the building kind of bothers me. Why not put the of in the middle and fill that negative space? Also, the connecting line in the F is basically non-existent, making it look like Hall or Justice. You can have the Hall, you can have Justice, but you can't have both. I have to presume that after this event, the Technician was fired, Craftsman was mysteriously purchased by Bruce Wayne, and the Justice League lived happily ever after. This comic is silly as hell. The Technician plotline moves at such a sluggish pace that if there weren't the cuts to the Justice League, next to nothing would be happening. The art only has a few hiccups, mostly in regards to coloration or costume details changing between pages. I noticed the overall palette is very blue, and this is probably to help the red of the Technician's costume stand out. I didn't notice it until I looked back, but most everything in the scenes involving Technician is some shade of blue. The MVP of today's comic should be pretty obvious. The key for being such a team player and letting the Technician capture him to boost his confidence. With this victory under his belt, I'm sure he'll go on to become one of the greatest heroes in the DC universe. And he never appeared in any comic after this. A shame too, because evidently the writers planned to use ideas submitted by readers to craftsmancomic.com to continue the story. Who knows what could have come out of that? Craftsman Bolt-On System Saves the Justice League was distributed at New York Comic Con in 2012, and also offered as a free digital download. It's very obviously product placement, but it's that incredibly clumsy kind of product placement where even verisimilitude must bend to serve the product. The kind I can at least get a laugh out of before I proceed to not buy their product. It's a goofy little trip, and I'm glad I took a look at it. Are there any other one-shots or comics you'd like me to take a look at? Let me know in the comments, and if you're new here, welcome. I hope you like what you saw. This is a surprisingly fun video to write. I could definitely see the appeal of reviewing comic books like this. Maybe next time I'll have a movie to talk about, or another comic book. Whatever the case, I hope you'll join us next time. Until then, thank you for watching SammunTV. This is Salmon, signing off.